Good afternoon. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Fraud Street podcast. Today we'll kind of pick up where we left off on the NFL free agency, and we're going to dive into a little bit of some Sixers basketball as well as some Flyers hockey and kind of talk about what our thoughts are for the remainder of the seasons. Looks like there's only a couple games left, so kind of, see what we think about, what they should do for the rest of the year. One of the things that we want to start off with is we want to do a congratulatory celebration for our buddy from the Eagles, Brandon Graham, retired after 15 years.
Oh yeah, BG. Let's go. All around, bud.
So no, that's good to 15 years. He, I wasn't sold on him personally. We had Dawkins. He left a big gap in that secondary. And, the draft coming up, Earl Thomas was a highly touted safety coming out. So he made the perfect fit.
Yeah.
And he made the most sense. So I think 99% of Philadelphia all wanted Earl Thomas. So, they take a flyer on BG out of Michigan, 15 years he's with the Eagles. Yeah. First few years, it was a struggle. He was
injured,
fans let him know
early on too.
Yeah, the fans let him know there were some struggles there, and he took it to heart, and he just wanted to get better. And he said it in his his retirement speech of you guys held me accountable. So that's always good.
If you can't, that's exactly what we do to players.
Yeah, it's like you play hard for us, and you throw it all out there. We're going to appreciate you, and I think he is literally an example of that.
Yeah, I mean, getting that early bust label. That's got to be tough. It's really tough to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, early on, granted, he just wasn't making as big of plays as he was later on in his career, and then obviously in the Super Bowl, the first one against New England made one of the best plays. Franchise history.
But there was a lot of time before that, and the other thing that kind of fed into that bust label, and we see Earl Thomas in Seattle and part of the Legion of Boom, and they are just
unit that was
year after year one of the best defenses that we've seen. And they go to 2 Super Bowls, they win one thanks to that defense. I mean, and then if it wasn't for Pete Carroll and his stupid decision at the goal line, they probably would win 2 also. But Earl Thomas, it's like still a great player, 9-year career. He kind of bounced around a little bit. He ran into some health issues also towards the end of his career, but early on he was an absolute stud. So
he had some weird personal things going on in Baltimore.
Some odd drama when he was in Baltimore, for sure.
There was
something to do with his brother.
Some brother mingling going on there. So it was a little strange, but regardless, football.
Yeah, football-wise,
great career, but personal life.
Again, Brandon Graham, thank you for everything. As Cameron mentioned before, one of the biggest plays in Philadelphia history was the strip sack of Tom Brady, which helped us build that lead. It gave us that 8-point lead going into the final 2 minutes. So it's a little harder for Brady to go down the field and try to tie the game. So huge play by Brandon Graham. Thank you for everything that you've done. You've been a tremendous asset to the Philadelphia sports scene. It's gonna be sad to see him go. I mean, he's one of the captains that we had through this year.
But it's the right time for him to go.
It is.
There was still people wanting him to come back, and even last year when he was like, "This is a farewell tour." I was like, "It can be a farewell tour, but you got to contribute."
Mm-hmm.
But he did, so it's
that's the thing. It's like you don't want to run down that same path where it's like, oh, we'll give them the thank you contracts, and you just keep them on just because of the name or what they've done. So he was actually productive this year, which was awesome to see. And unfortunately, he didn't play the full year. He tore his triceps in week 12 against the Rams. But you know what? He wanted to come back. He rushed back to get to the Super Bowl. And unfortunately, tore him again. So, but I mean, which comes to find out like half the team was playing with torn triceps. So,
And in that game where he tore it the first time against the Rams, he was balling. Like, he was making plays. I was like, holy shit, he's in his 15th year, still making plays, like still
being
dominant.
Yeah.
So it was great to watch. Obviously, like you said, we're giving him his flowers. Thanks for the hell of a career. Great mentality is, what Philly media does to you. A lot of players aren't built that way.
Yep.
He's clearly built different, and he stuck to it, ate a lot of shit early on. Worked through it, and then became, a legend.
Really. And the great thing is, I don't think this is the last we see of BG. I think he is either going to get into
Yeah.
video, he's going to be on TV.
For sure.
He has one of those personalities that's just, it brings...
Bad shit talker. Like, he's
Oh,
just,
God.
that's so funny. He's just always
some
like,
of the best is NFL
funny.
films, and you hear him
see the
like
videos,
mic'd up.
Fletcher Cox going like, come on, man, like, turn it down a little bit. He's like, I'm coming for you.
I think Kelsey would also say some things like that as well. So during the coin flip, you know, Brandon Graham's out there running his mouth to Aaron Donald, and Jason Kelsey's like, dude, what the fuck? Man, I have to block him.
I'm in front.
Don't piss him off, please.
Don't piss him off, please. You're gonna make my job harder.
But. And the Buffalo game in the where BG was like, it don't matter who gets the ball. He's like, it don't matter. We win in this. Like,
no, he's awesome. He's awesome. So again, congratulations to BG. Well deserved retirement. Amazing career with the Eagles. So again, thank you for 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Only a handful of people in Philadelphia can say that they're a 2-time Super Bowl champion. So congrats again, BG. So speaking of ex-Eagles, Vontae Maddox, he gets signed by the Lions.
Thank God he's gone.
So, I mean, the thing is, it's like, all right, look at it this way. You have the Detroit Lions defense. I think everybody on the team was hurt last year. Their offense is absolutely amazing. So if they could get the defense back healthy, you know, you add a Vontae Maddox. I liked him when he was healthy. The guy just had every injury that you could possibly have, and he just couldn't stay on the field.
And besides the 4th down in the Super Bowl, it seemed like a lot of times if he's on the field, though, that's immediately where the opposing offense would go. And it was just like, oh, crap. That's why when he was in that play, I was sitting there going like, dude, they're going to get that. And then he tipped it away, and I was like, okay, it's the one play you made. Thank you.
Yeah,
but
he played that great.
No, he played that great. He played that play great. But I was just like...
Well, we'll see what he does in Detroit. I as we mentioned, you know, in the first episode, I think Detroit's still one of the juggernauts in the NFL. And
absolutely.
I mean, once their defense gets healthy again, who knows? So that'll be an interesting matchup next year. Don't know when it's going to happen, and maybe the opener of the season. We'll see.
It should be because, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown was talking a lot of shit anyway.
Yeah, he wants to definitely line up.
Like, if that was us playing them it wouldn't be 55-23. I'm like, well, you didn't win your game.
Well,
exactly. You had the opportunity
you had
to
the
win.
opportunity to be there, but you didn't win your game. So.
Yeah, well, speaking of the team that knocked him out, Michael Gallup changes teams. He goes over to the Commanders. So
after a year of retirement, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what he has left. He was always, in my mind, a good role player with Dallas. Like, he would be the guy that was on the outside opposite of CD and Amari Cooper, and he caught the ball. So you pair him up with Debo, you pair him up with McLaurin. I think he's going to, you know, give them a little bit more freedom, or he's just going to be that slot guy that, you know, is just...
Cicadas was. That's a similar role.
So we'll see how he ends up doing with the Commanders. Unfortunately, I think we'll have to deal with him a little bit. Not so much worried, just because I think they're going to be more focused on Debo and McLaurin, but they also have a pretty good running.
And it could just be a training camp body too, just to see if he's got it, like, because maybe he's got the itch again and he's like, I'll give it another go. If I can't, oh well.
So some big Eagles news: Azeez Ojulari, 1 year, $4 million. I guess we're just going after every Georgia player that played in that national championship.
Right. So former Giant too.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarities of, you know, the Saquon and even the Bradbury. I mean, we just take the Giants players at this point and
come on over.
You know, hey, you guys will actually play with a real team. Show us what you can do. So unfortunately with him, I think he's going to have a great year. And I think what we're going to have is the same conversation with some of the free agents we had this year of they just can't pay him. So he's going to use this year as a prove it year, and he's going to go elsewhere. But, you know, hey, let's see.
Let's hope.
Yeah. I mean,
he's had a little bit of injuries here. So he's never been in there like the whole time. But with the way we rotate people out, he can easily just not, he can easily stay more healthy overall.
Yeah. And the thing with him too is when he's in there, he's producing. So it's like you take those injuries away and you see the games that he's playing and the production that he's, you know, given the team, you know, he's doing his job. So it's just, he just can't stay healthy. So I agree with you, Brock. It's like once we get the, you know, rotation in and you get him into the system with Nolan Smith and some of the other Georgia boys that he's played with. So I think it's going to be a good fit for him. I'm hoping that he has a great year and we can bring him back, but kind of what we mentioned in episode 1, I think that they're trying to build through the draft, and because they know long term we got a lot of money coming up with these defensive studs. So
also shout out you on getting his name pronounced right.
Hey, there you go. Look at that. Did some homework.
not the easiest. So job there from the start.
Hey, if the only criticism we have is butchering names, I'll take that. So
still don't know how to pronounce that Cowboys player name.
Don't worry, they'll remind you every time. Or we just don't talk about it.
Or just don't mention his name at all. It's that guy for the Cowboys.
You know that Cowboys guy
that defensive tackle that's not Jalen Carter. You know, something like that.
Exactly. So a couple of Bengals got locked up for long-term deals. That Bengals team, man, they're just going to have like a juggernaut of like offense and the defense.
97, 94 scoring.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll still lose. But Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161 million extension, highest paid non-quarterback. Guy,
I just don't know where they found that money though. Like they act like they didn't have it.
They took it from the defense.
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah, that's where they're making up for it. You know, they're going to try and get in a shootout with everyone. Obviously, I mean, Jamar Chase, stud. Joe Burrow, stud. So T. Higgins, I think a lot of it kind of he benefits from Chase, right? Like Chase draws the double, Higgins is underneath, or he also gets on the side by himself.
They kept their tight end also, so they kept everybody back.
Higgins, he signs a 4-year deal, $150 million deal. So I mean, that's good for him also. He's not getting the franchise tag, which, has its benefits because you're getting paid. Yeah. But, there's no job security after that. So good for T. Higgins. I've always liked him. Another fantasy guy that
could be number one there anywhere else.
He could,
but I mean, I get staying there with Burrow and them. That makes a lot of sense.
And if we want to give a little credit here, it's like Howie Roseman. Way to lock up our guys early on. So you do things at the right time. You're not spending a ton of money, and he's a master with the cap. So he's a master with how he's taking care of it.
And I think I saw something the other day. I was talking about those three guys between Burrow, Chase, and Higgins. It's like $125 million 1 year.
Yeah.
Like that's nuts. Insane. Yeah. Like crazy amount of money. But obviously, if you're the Bengals, that's the way you got to go. If you're not going to pay your defensive guys, you got to have the best talent you can on the offense.
Yep.
And try and get in those shootouts. Obviously, the Ravens, the Steelers, they're more defensive focused teams, especially Pittsburgh in this case. But I think they're going to try and just get in a shootout and hope for the best.
Yep.
And then even if they do make the playoffs, they got to keep up with Allen. They got it's a whole KC. Like they got to keep up.
Yeah, I think their offense is by far the best in that division. So that's not going to be the one that holds them back. It's going to be their defense. But other than Baltimore, who knows what the Steelers' defense or their offense is going to look like? They don't even have a quarterback right now.
Yeah.
So
it's a big piece.
Mean, it's one of those things of okay, they're going to score the points. They will more than likely get into the playoffs, but can you compete against the Josh Allen and the Bills? Can you compete against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs?
Yeah.
And with their defense, unless they hit on some rookies.
Well, they're still trying to sign Henderson. They were talking about that because he still wants to be traded, but they were like, we're still open to contract. And I'm like, you're not going to be able to give him as much money as he wants when you've already seen what Crosby and Myles Garrett and all them are getting. There's no way. There's no way you're going to be able to afford him.
So it's like I don't think he's
right behind Garrett in like the amount of sacks the last 4 years combined.
I think he's led the AL or not the AL, but the
AFC.
Yeah. He's been in the top producers. Yeah, we'll see what they do, especially on the defensive side. We talked about the Giants earlier. They lock up Jameis Winston, 2 years, $8 million. I mean, I don't know what Barkley did, but he did a little Super Bowl advocating for him. And you got Jameis out there. He's like, hey, I know a guy looking for a spot. You know anywhere?
At the Super Bowl meeting.
I mean, honestly, Jameis is one of the funniest quarterbacks to watch. He makes some fucking plays and he makes some bad plays.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, we play him twice a year. Hopefully, if he is playing against us, he makes those bad plays. But I mean, what was it, 30 and 30 with his last year with the Bucks, like 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
I think it was something he was saying. He's like, I couldn't see. Like,
he had to have LASIK in the offseason. And that's just Jameis, perfect.
But when he was with Cleveland, like he was actually doing well.
I mean, he can light it up for sure.
A lot of their fans were like,
problems.
Well, why do we have Watson? Like Jameis is actually a better quarterback.
Be our quarterback, right? Yeah.
Well, hopefully he doesn't eat no dubs.
Him and Malik Neighbors though can put up numbers like that's going to be dangerous.
He's got 200 targets next year.
Oh, 100%.
If he can stay healthy,
even if there's 3 defenders around him, he'll still throw the ball in there.
So we'll see how that works. But I am looking forward to watching Jameis back in the NFL. Like, I think he's just funny to watch. Like, we'll see him on Red Zone, just make some ridiculous play. He's just a very funny guy.
Yeah, he'll follow it up with an interception or whatever.
Yeah,
the most opportune time. But he's always
and a soundbite or two. And he's it's gonna be,
he's the best.
So, and then just to round out the NFL discussions, where do we think Aaron Rodgers is going to go? Is he going to pull a LeBron and just like, have a conference with a bunch of kids behind you? It's like taking my talents to.
Don't get me started on that. That's a topic for another day.
Hey man, it was for charity.
It is for charity.
Waste of time.
So it seems like Minnesota's out. They're not even taking calls on JJ McCarthy.
Unfortunately, they're out.
I mean, there's a lot of us out there. I know I'm one of them. It's like I want him to follow the same Favre path.
That'd be so awesome if he did that.
We'll see what he ends up doing.
He met with the Steelers organization
about 4 hours.
4-hour meeting. Yeah.
Thursday, the first day of NCAA March Madness. Mm-hmm. He's over there,
Of course, he's got to always have his name in the news.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he can't.
It's like, a single person cares about football, right? This and year two, you are like, hey, talk about me for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, that's a great meeting. Like, again, we talked about it before. Like, it's a good fit. You got DK there, you got Pickens. Mm-hmm. So hopefully he signs soon to where we just stop fucking hearing about him or where he's going to go.
Exactly.
Right.
And then it's also postponing the Russell Wilson. Like, where's Russell Wilson going to go? Mm-hmm. Giants, they signed Jameis. They're looking to draft a quarterback. So is New York really a fit for Wilson? So who knows what's going to happen with these two quarterbacks? But I still think that the Steelers are the front runners for Rodgers at this point. It just makes the most sense to me. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think
especially if you go for 4 hours. I mean, you got to talk. What are you talking about at that point? You know what I mean? He's probably saying, can I be on Pat McAfee's show? And they're like, dude, do you really have to be? Like, we could just pay you this money and you play quarterback for 1 more year. And he's like, I want to do all my retreats and everything still. And we're like,
I think he's close with Tomlin. Like, Tomlin respects him a lot. He respects Tomlin a lot. So I think it really does make sense. And back to the McAfee comment, right? Like, McAfee's from Pittsburgh. He's probably pulling hard to try and get AJ or Aaron Rodgers in there, So that would make sense as a fit. But
then, okay, so Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh. What do we think that division looks like? I still don't think that their offense. Right? I still think Cincinnati and Baltimore's offenses are. They're still better.
Top two,
because I mean, the fall off of Rodgers in New York. I mean, it's not because he didn't have weapons. He had Devontae and every Green Bay Packer that he ever played with go there. So I don't think it was a Rodgers didn't have weapons. It was just I just think it's the decline of Rodgers.
Yeah. But also, part of me wants to see him go to Pittsburgh just to see the interactions with George Pickens.
Yeah.
Because that shit will be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be fireworks every Sunday. Pickens is going to not run around. Aaron Rodgers going to freak out. And then, Pickens might talk some shit about him in the post-game pressers. So it'll be awesome to watch.
Because him and Wilson would have interactions like that. He would be standing there going like, you're supposed to go to this way. And if Pickens doesn't go the right route, they're going to be yelling at each other in the middle of a game.
Yep.
And so that's going to be great to see. That's going to be funny.
So Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh. Where's Wilson going to go?
I think he goes to Cleveland because that's the other team he visited last week. Well,
Cleveland.
He visited Cleveland and New York. So
what's Watson's timetable?
Well, he's hurt again.
He tore it again.
He tore it again.
Yeah,
that's right.
Again.
Yeah.
And I think if they ever go through with the court stuff, there is a way that the NFL can void all that guaranteed money. And the Browns can get it all back.
That's the Browns' dream.
But it has to go. I don't know when they're going to do it has to go through the trials. I have no clue when that'll even be.
That was those cases were submitted by the Browns organization.
We never meant to give him all that freaking money. We'll just
anonymous.
Anonymous.
For sure, those were submitted by the Browns organization after last year's performance.
They're like, man, what were we thinking? Like.
And I mean, also like Wentz was also kind of mentioned as Cleveland. Like I think there's mutual interest there, which is pretty weird, right? Because I don't necessarily see Carson being the greatest mentor. Obviously he had Jalen, the first year and then ended up losing the job to Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to try and draft, say, Cam Ward, or Shador, I don't think Carson's going to be the guy to help lead them. I think Russell Wilson fits that better.
Yeah, 100%.
As kind of like more of a leader, a mentor.
Russell Wilson played last year too. It's like Carson's been a bench guy since he left.
He only played that one game and was awful.
He looked dog shit last year.
Yeah.
I was rooting for him though.
As a former Wentz guy,
I was like,
I think we were all Wentz guys. So.
Yeah.
Brock's the only one that got his the nameplate on the back changed.
No, I bought a whole different jersey.
We just got those things collecting dust. So.
But it's interesting to see how the NFL is picking up. It's kind of died off from last episode of just the NFL's. It's good because it's like you get a flurry of news right away in the first 2 or 3 days. Whereas baseball, on the other hand, it's like you wait months.
Winter meetings and all that.
Yep. And it's like before players sign. It's like, can you guys just figure it out already? It's like, do you really have to wait 3 months to find out where you want to go? So,
and like we mentioned, the tournament's happening. So really nothing's really kind of happening right now except for baseball later this week.
Yeah. And speaking of the tournament, so I was one that chose Duke to win because, if I take them, they're going to lose. So a Duke hater, but when it comes to Duke hater, it's like Cooper Flagg looks like an absolute stud.
Yeah.
And
definitely number one pick.
The Sixers have a shot at potentially maybe, getting lucky enough to get him. So what they need to do is to continue to lose. Everybody's hurt. Right now, they're sitting basically the sixth worst record in the NBA. So their pick this year would be traded to OKC if it's outside of that top six protection. So what makes most sense is let's make sure we stay in that top six so we can keep our first round pick. And, maybe we can get lucky to get up to, the first round or first overall, second overall to where, maybe we have an opportunity to pull this guy in and, build the team that way. With them consistently making the playoffs is it was 3 years ago when they were one of the top seeds in the league. And just the fall off based on injuries and production and just trying to
I think pretty much since the Kawhi shot, though, it's been pretty bad.
It's been down. That was the year I think that they should have won. That was the Jimmy Butler year. That was the Ben Simmons year. That was the year that was theirs. And then once you get past the Raptors, you're going to play a Golden State team that was completely hurt. So that was their shot of winning. And Kawhi just made a circus shot and he went in. So
great shot.
They haven't been. They were. They haven't been the same since. It's like they had the Ben Simmons drama, got rid of Hart or brought Harden in. Harden never made sense. They let him go. They signed Paul George. Paul George looks like he's clearly just too old.
He hasn't booted his podcast back up yet. I thought where he got his surgery and stuff, he'd be back on the.
Well, he heard we were on the market. He said, I can't compete with these guys.
He's more than welcome to join an episode.
Yeah, if he wants to jump on. He's got all time. Yeah. So, right now I think the Sixers just continue to lose. You want to make sure you keep that pick.
Just keep trusting that process you guys all love.
Yeah, exactly. It's might as well.
Got to make an excuse for it somehow, right? Whatever sounds right to the media to where they're not just like, clearly this team's fucking tanking. You got to kind of, spice it up a bit. Say,
I think you can't make it as obvious as tanking as you did when you were doing the process. Like that was really bad. Obvious.
I think we can all agree, right? The process is dead at this point.
Well, yeah. They got one player.
Embiid's name is the process, so right. So it's still kind of going.
Unfortunately, one player out of it. If you look at the team we just mentioned, OKC, all that team does is draft. They don't sign them, but they draft good players. They draft good talent. They just never sign them. They let them go elsewhere, and then they win elsewhere.
Well, the benefit with OKC is that they brought in those big name players to where you have, you start with Westbrook, Harden, KD, and then you turn that into where Westbrook's, winning multiple MVPs, and then you have Paul George come play, and then you trade Paul George to the Clippers to bring in Shai. SGA comes in, absolute beast. Right now, kind of came out of nowhere.
Yep.
He's MVP frontrunner, I think now. Him and Jokic are always
they keep flipping.
They're the number one team in the West.
Yeah. I've been all year. Yep.
Yeah, they've just been dominant. So
there's no home court like OKC. It's insane how they do the shirts all over the chairs and the whole entire stadium looks exactly the same color. It's wild. It's just insane.
Well, they also don't. There's no other sports teams around
that are in that area, right?
They're the only professional team.
That's their main ticket. Yeah.
I know a lot of Seattle fans were kind of upset about the team
Supersonics leaving. Yeah.
But Thunder, obviously, they get a new team. They start out great with, like I said, like Westbrook, Harden, Durant. Like, how can you not be excited about those young three? It didn't turn into anything championship-wise for them, but at least they went to the finals once.
Yep.
And so you get that immediate success, and then you start parting away with those guys, and then you still now have success a couple of years later on. And I think they still have 30 draft picks in the next 3 years.
It's absolutely nuts.
Insane. So
the one in the West, and then it's you have 1 million draft picks. So it's we'll see what they end up doing, trade deadlines and stuff.
And we know how the NBA is with draft picks. They just toss them around. Just go, here you go, have 7 of them for that one guy. I'm like, what is that even like? What? We don't even know what that pick's going to be in 2035.
Exactly.
But they're like, I got to secure it up now.
It goes to show you. It's so OKC knows what they're doing. It's they're like, okay, we're playing the Sixers earlier this week, and they were like, the Sixers are right now in the 6th spot. If they win this game, it's going to help them get out of that to where we get the pick. So let's bench all of our starters for the rest. So, but they still blow them out by 30. So, it just goes to show you that even their bench or the Sixers got the message about the process, and they were like, hey, you got to lose. So,
and I think we mentioned it last week, where I'm not the Sixers fan in this group. So, I love seeing all of this, just
all
seeing
the drama,
the drama, the L's. I'm like, this is This is funny to me.
Yeah, you're one of those Laker LeBron guys, right?
No, hell no. Do not start that rumor. Good Lord, no.
Hey, he's back, dude.
No, I'm Kobe Bryant, so I just watched basketball.
I'm just saying, when you watch your Lakers, the purple and gold, see LeBron again.
LeBron. He's back. Bronny.
No,
and Bronny.
Don't get me started on Bron. That shit, nepotism ass shit there. That's just
career high a couple days ago, 17 points.
They were losing, weren't they? So, I mean, at least you got to play a little bit. Sure. I mean, if we're talking about the Lakers, I don't even freaking understand the trade still to get Luka. That's just the most ridiculous stuff I've seen in a long time.
For the Lakers, it makes perfect sense.
But it's like every time LeBron is having any kind of trouble, it's like, oh, how can we get him a superstar to just carry it the rest of the way for him? Like,
Davis
he's got
wasn't enough.
He's got his little ankle injury happening right now.
Speaking of injuries, did you guys see the Mavericks? Right now,
oh my god, they've lost every player since they traded Luka.
But they're strapped with the cap also, to where they can't even sign guys.
Yeah, they're stuck. And then
they have G League guys that are about to meet their max games played or something like that,
and they can't come up.
Where they might have there's a potential that they have to forfeit games coming up because they don't have enough players.
I can't imagine. You were just in the finals last year, and now you're going through this. Like that's.
It's unfortunate with all the injuries that they had. But God,
I'll throw it out. Hey Mavericks, if you're looking for somebody,
there you go.
Right, I will sign up and play for a little bit.
For me a couple of years, I'll go out there, get a sick uniform. And, the only time people will root for Dallas, right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of losing, another team that I think needs to continue their losing streak is probably the Flyers at this point. Keith Jones and Briere, they're trying to turn them around. I think currently they're sitting 15th in the conference. There's only 11 games left. They're 10 points out. It's impossible to kind of make that much of a run to try to get in the playoffs. And, what are you going to do? You're going to get into the 8th seed and get knocked out in the first round by the Capitals.
Washington, it's just dominating.
So, I mean, the only good thing coming in is they didn't give up 7 goals for Ovechkin to break the record against them when they played. So, but it's I think the Flyers, it's like you can't continue to be similar to what I said with the Sixers. You can't be the middle ground and build your team. You're going to have to hit on some of these top picks, and you got to put yourself in a position, trust the process of.
I was going to say, this is another drawn out process. And I'm like, this one hurts.
Yeah. I mean, this one, so they did unload a bunch of players at the deadline. They let go of Scott Lawton. He was one of the guys that came up through their system, and he was a good player. He's a very good player. But
feisty.
It's just they could never put it all together. And they don't have the superstars. Like Konechny's good. He's not a superstar.
Couturier,
he's good. He's had injuries, but he's not a superstar. They haven't had a superstar. And then, the unfortunate, issue with Carter Hart and
you don't have
allegations and all that. That was their future. Was Carter Hart was their goalie?
Yeah, it's like finally we're actually got a goalie maybe, and then
his allegations aren't really allegations anymore, right? If he's still out of the league.
I was just say, they're pretty much. I don't think they ever said if it was much truth, but it's just basically he's not even here anymore. And even are the other guys that were in that.
Well, the other guys that were accused, they weren't even players in the league.
I know.
He was the only one that was
part of it,
pro player, which is unfortunate for him. But hey, you got to be smarter.
I mean,
I don't think any guilty verdicts have come out, but it's just a drawn out process at this point. But who knows? Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, he didn't do anything wrong. And
I mean, there's been examples of people being allegations against him like that for stuff, and some of them have gotten chances to come back, and some just don't. Right,
the punter for the San Diego State.
Justin Tucker.
Huh? Justin Tucker. Yeah, Justin Tucker.
I was like, Watson. We said Watson earlier. I was like, well, we can bring up Justin Tucker with all
there's quite
he's
a
up
few
there 15 right now, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, allegations are allegations at this point, but
But Riza got another chance with Kansas City because the girl lied and he was never in the room, so he got a chance to come back because he was drafted by Buffalo, and then they immediately dropped him before anything was even figured out. They were just like, whoa, never mind.
At the time, I wanted the Eagles to go get him. I can't remember the punter that they had at the time, but I was like, dude, take a flyer.
I was like, he's the punt god. Like, go get him. That's his YouTube. So I was like, go get him, man. Like that kid's gonna be something.
So, I think this is gonna wrap up the second episode. We do have a big baseball preview coming up. Right after this, we're gonna have like a little mini series. We're gonna go over the NL East, top to bottom, cover all the teams, give a pretty long Phillies preview of kind of what we're expecting this year, what we're looking forward to, and then after that, we're gonna touch on every other division. We're gonna go down to AL East. We're gonna go to the AL West, AL Central. We'll cover all the NL teams, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some way too in advanced playoff predictions and maybe even some World Series, picks. So what we also plan to do is, we're going to throw some bets on what we put out there. So we're going to put some money behind our mouths and, hey, maybe we win some money. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like I said, it's going to be very heavy on baseball, but we hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks again for following us along on this journey. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, and like.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.